Today we are going to learn about matrix multiplication. The first thing that we must do when multiplying matrices is to look at their sizes. Here we have a 2 by 2 matrix multiplied by another 2 by 2 matrix. Just a reminder from when we first learned about matrices, these dimensions are coming from the number of rows by the number of columns. So again, this one here is a 2 by 2 matrix because we have 2 rows and 2 columns. And then this one as well is a 2 by 2 matrix because we have 2 rows and 2 columns. In order to multiply matrices together, we must have the number of columns from the first matrix match the number of rows from the second matrix. If these two numbers match, you can multiply the matrices together. In fact, let's look at what's left. We have a 2 by 2 matrix. These are going to be the dimensions of our product matrix. Let's go ahead and get our product matrix set up. I'm going to make sure to leave a lot of space so that I can show all of my work. Okay, let's go ahead and look at our first entry. I'm going to start up here in the top left. Notice this is the first row and first column of our product matrix. Therefore, I am going to multiply the first row of the first matrix and the first column of the second matrix together. You're probably wondering, how in the world do I multiply this row by this column? Well, you look at the corresponding positions. If we multiply the first entry in the first row, which is 5, by the first entry in the first column, which is 1, and we add it to the second entries multiplied together, so we add it to -2 times 4, that's going to give us the entry of our first row, first column of our product matrix. Let's go ahead and look at the next entry. We're going to jump over here. So we are now in the first row still, but in the second column. What that means is we need to switch to multiply the first row of the first matrix, but this time by the second column of the second matrix. Same thing as before, we multiply the first entries together, so 5 and 2. And we add them to the product of the second entry, so -2 and 3. Why don't you guys go ahead, pause the video, and see if you can figure out the other 2 entries to our product matrix. Just a reminder, you can look at the positions of where you are at in the product matrix to help you figure out which rows and columns you need to be multiplying together. Okay, hopefully you figured out the other 2 entries. Let's go ahead and see if you were right. For the bottom left entry, that is the second row, but the first column, so we need to multiply the second row by the first column. Looking at those numbers, we would have 0 times 1, and then -2 times 4. Hopefully that's what you got. If you did, nice job. Jumping to that last bottom right entry, we are in the second row, second column, so we multiply the second row of that first matrix by the second column of the second matrix. Therefore, we would have 0 times 2, and then we would add that to the product of -2 and 3. Excellent work. Now, to determine our actual product matrix, we need to do the multiplication and addition for each of the 4 entries that we have above. So our top left entry, that's the red numbers, we have 5 times 1, which is 5, plus -2 times 4, which is -8. If we add 5 plus -8, that's going to give us -3. Moving on to the blue entry, or the top right entry, we have 5 times 2 plus negative 2 times 3. That's 10 plus negative 6. That's going to give us a positive 4. Going down to the second row, we have 0 times 1, which is just 0, but when we take away that negative 8, we're going to be left with negative 8. And then lastly, that last entry in the bottom right, we have 0 times 2, which is 0, but then we're going to add the negative 6, so negative 6 is the bottom entry. Therefore, when we multiply these two 2x2 matrices together, we're going to get this product matrix of negative 3, 4, negative 8, negative 6.